life. Life kind of goes that way also. So, um, it kind of prepares you for that. So, handling failure in baseball is part of it. Umpires are going to mess up calls. Um, right now, we're implementing dealing with the TrackMan umpire because that's where baseball is going to. We're dealing with that in professional baseball, and so it's just a strange transition, but that's still going to be frustrating because it might beep and might say that it's a strike, but I still don't think it is. And that's going to make me angry. And so how do I deal with handling that failure? And then bad games like 0 for 4s, the 0 for 8s, the 3 strikeouts, the pop outs, five in a row. One night I went 0 for 7 and I flew out 7 times on the first pitch, all 7. 0 for 7. That's bad. It was extra inning games. I think everybody had 3 hits. Somebody had to make the outs, and it was me. So dealing with that. So how do we deal? How do we handle failure? How do we coach handling failure? Um, Number one, you look for guys who are emotional. Sometimes emotion is okay because you got to get that emotion out. You don't want to sit there and not be able to express yourself or not be able to um, show that you have emotions and you're able to get them out because keeping them in it is no good. But at the same time, baseball is a 3-hour game, and we don't want to get too emotional. We're not trying to. This isn't football where we're trying to run through the next um, the guy across from me every play. Like I got to be methodical. I have to manage my thoughts. I have a long game to deal with here, and we're going to talk about mental resets here in a second. We'll get to that, but handling failure, being able to like bounce back, hugely important. I used to get emotional as a player. I remember I was playing with all these older players in Puerto Rico in winter ball one year, and I wanted to impress them. And I was watching them how like they never got emotional. 3 hits, 2 hits, no hits, strikeout, whatever. They just were even keel. So I was kind of doing what they were doing and just trying to be emotionally even keel. And I found out like the game was a little bit easier to play, and it wasn't so because you get anxious when you get stressed. So just talking players through, hey man, breathe. Hey, focus. Hey, what's your plan? That's why tonight we're talking about approach and game plan and mental game all in one. Going back to your training, going back, reverting back. Hey, you're prepared for this. Hey, what are we hunting right here? What are we looking for? Next pitch. Get to the next pitch. Get to the next pitch. We focus so much on the umpire and or ourselves, or we're pissed. How did I miss that dummy? Like we have this like to shame ourselves through at bats, and let me tell you something. Like just coaching, the game's hard, guys. The game's hard, and sometimes when we're not playing it anymore, we forget how hard it is. It's hard, and then they're gonna. The game is as positive as we can be to players. It's hugely important that we get our guys focused on positive things and get their minds switched from the negative to the positive. So handling failure, umpires, bad games, reset your mind towards something positive, towards the goal. Don't give it any ammunition or time. Um, okay, routines on and off the field. Your routines are super important for your mental game. And I talked about just handling failure because you're going to always go back to the routine and go back to my training. If we were talking about Navy SEALs right now, or special forces in the Army, you would talk about going back to your training. All those guys are so prepared to go into combat. Why? Because they've done it so much. They've practiced so much. And their lives are so structured, their days are so structured, so many routines. And the same thing, just today, we had 90 position players come through our camp today, and we had 6 fields going, and they look like we had like this small group of mini camp players, and they all just exploded into like gremlins, like they just threw them in the water. That's before y'all's time, but um, and so now we got all these players, and so you know what though, we have to continue to preach to them, just like I would preach to the small group that we had. Routines are important. Now, repeating the baseball isn't about doing the extraordinary every day. Winning baseball, training winning baseball players is about training them to do the obvious over and over and over again really well and get almost, you know, it's almost like a sharpshooter who's so good at shooting that target, but I still got to come out and shoot the target every day. You're like, why? Because I'm so good at it. What I've already can I hit a farther target? Well, that's the best target we got. So just keep hitting that one. Okay, I'll keep hitting that one. It's kind of like hitting the line drives to the middle of the field every day. Well, can I hit them farther? Can I hit it longer? Can I do this? Can I do that? Well, yeah, you can, but that's sometimes will get you out of your groove. So it's better to hit rockets up the middle every day. Movement routines, mental routines. What are your mental routines every day? Do you listen to music when you come to the field? Do you what locks you in? What locks you in to help you focus on in a game plan meeting or in a cage session or in a pregame session? Like what are your routines every day? And if you don't have some, then you need to create them. It's going to help you be a better version of yourself, not only as a coach, and then create them for yourself and create them for your players. Again, and then I kind of touched on this: focus daily on what locks you in, like what gets you locked in. I remember driving to the ballpark in Boston in 18. There's a song I used to listen to by Jay-Z, and that boom, that locked me in. I think 19, it was a different song. I think I remember 17 driving to the park as a manager in AAA. There was a different song. That song kind of got me. Okay, when I got to the ballpark, I knew I had all these tasks. I got to make a lineup. I got this. I was a hitting coach. I had to read the scouting report. I had to get ready to throw batting practice, work with the guys, and so forth and so on. And so, you have to have those moments, even as a coach, to focus and lock in. And for players, 100%. And you guys are so distracted. Everybody's got their phones, and you're worried about your phones, and you're on your phones. And coaches are doing the same thing. We have, guys have players have girlfriends. Coaches have wives. We're preoccupied with other things in life, and yet now we got to focus. Hitting a baseball, hardest thing to do in sports, and then we're in 14 different places. We got schoolwork, we have all these other things, and all of a sudden now, boom, I got to focus to hit this ball. Well, it's not. You have to have cues to get you there. So giving your players cues, mental cues, to get them focused on the task at hand is hugely important. So and I would ask them this too. These are questions that I would ask guys, like, what locks you in every day? I had the song playing the other day with a hitters meeting. I had everybody walk in and everybody's listening to this Jay-Z song. They're like, "What is this?" And I kind of told them the story. Hey, this is what this is for. And have something that locks you in, because when you come to the cage and it's time to work, it's time to work. It's not there. We're not there just to mess around and try to hit homers in the cage. Like, we're there to get better and learn and become a better hitter. Okay, next point, if I may move on. If anybody has any questions here, I can see everybody's screen, so you can raise your virtual hand or unmute and say something. We have a small group tonight, so feel free to hop in if you need to. How do you deal with success? This is another part, dealing with players. When guys are going well and they're swinging the bat well, you can see people fall off the wagon there really fast because number one, they stop working. But I'm doing really well. Like, ooh, I got this. I'm good at this now. Hey, are you doing your routine anymore? No, because I got really good at it, so I didn't think I needed to. Well, that's kind of the trap, because you get good at it and you think, oh, okay, I don't have to do this anymore. I'm good at this now. No, that's the opposite. You get good at it, you stay good at it. You got to it's just like those guys make the PGA golf tour. When you watch it on TV, it looks so easy. How do they do that? Game of golf is so hard, and you watch these championships on television, and these guys are playing golf like it's how do they do it? Well, they do it because hours. I mean, they're super talented, but hours upon hours upon hours of hitting balls at the range, hours upon hours of practice. And so when they are successful and they do things well, you got to go back to work. It doesn't really change who you are. It shouldn't. Elite players respect the game and respect how hard games are to do it, to play them at elite levels, and they go back to work. So that's one way of dealing with success is just don't let it change really who you are. It feels good to be successful, but learn and grow and try to continue to get better is really the key of dealing with success. Don't get too caught up in reading about yourself, and don't get too caught up and look at yourself on videos and tweeting them out and all that stuff. When you're getting recruited, there's a certain way to do that. And heck, I did it with my son, and I still like seeing and tweeting things out with him and so forth. But I think you can overdo it sometimes, especially if you're the player and getting too in love with tweeting your own self out. The game is hard. The game is humbling, and it is a different world, though. With the whole social media. But be humble, I guess, is the overall arching point of dealing with success. Is always be humble because the game is tough. Controlling emotions by capturing thoughts. A couple more things here, and they're kind of all related in the mental game portion of this. Controlling emotions by capturing thoughts. So it's so easy to lose our temper. Umpires, go back to umpires, or hitting a line drive with the bases loaded to end the inning in a 2-run game that you're losing, and late in the game, and you're pissed and you want to throw something and you just want to get this anger out. And again, it's okay to understand you have those emotions and to feel those emotions. You just have to be careful in what you do with them. And again, that's the difference between really good players who are able to execute in pressure situations, to be able to capture their thoughts, capture their emotions and redirect them, use the emotions for good, acknowledge the emotion, embrace the situation no matter what it is. I've heard some mental conditioning coaches talk about embracing the suck, which basically means, hey, I understand what's happening to me. Instead of getting pissed about it and throwing things and yelling, okay, how am I going to deal with this? Let me move on. It's kind of like next pitch. Something jams me in BP. Let me get to the next pitch. Sitting here moping and worrying about this isn't helping at all. So that kind of goes to my next point. Mental resets. This is something we've talked about in our camp here out in Arizona with our players. We actually work. I'll do rounds of 2 as I'm feeding the machine. 1 swing normal, or 1 swing, get the runner in from third, whatever the drill is, and then give me a reset, and then next swing, boom. So we actually work on our resets. So if you go through a baseball game, an average major league game is 3 hours and something minutes, and I'm not going to go through the math with you right now, the whole deal, but basically what it boils down to is there's only about 15 minutes, 13 to 15 minutes of actual baseball played in a 3-hour game from the time the first pitch is thrown to the game is ended, till the 27th out is made. So there's 3 hours of time. There's only about 15 minutes of actual baseball. So what's happening? Well, in between? Well, you have in between pitches. The ball's fouled off. Okay, now the ball's not in play. Now we got an umpire giving a new ball to the catcher who's throwing it to the pitcher who's rubbing it up, who's walking around, the hitter's doing this and that. So there's this time going by, right? And you got 9 guys on the field, and you got another 9 guys that you're playing against right here. And what are you doing with that time? What are you doing with that 15 seconds? And by the way, it boils down, if you go, how many pitches are in each game, and you go, and you guys can do the math yourselves and figure it all out. You guys are smart. But I've seen the math done before. It's basically 15 seconds in between each pitch. So what are you doing with that 15 seconds? What is your mental reset? Kind of goes back to the focus daily. What locks you in? What are your routines? Like, what is your mental reset? We step out. Here's a quick outline of one. What just happened? All right, he threw me a fastball away. I leaked a little bit. I was kind of quick on it. All right, now what just happened? Next, what's getting ready to happen? I'm hunting my fastball middle. I'm going to crush it right there. I'm looking middle. Let's go. And then 5 seconds of like re-engage. Let's go. Bring it. Throw your stuff in here. So there's a mental reset, 15 seconds. What just happened? What's getting ready to happen? Or recommit to your plan and then engage in the battle. So that'll be an outline of one. And then positive affirmations, I threw on there. The positive affirmations, it's important because this game's hard and it's real easy to tell yourself you suck. And that is real. And kids are, especially with social media and the pressures of that, it's so easy to look yourself in the mirror in this game and say you're not good. And everybody and the parents and people just get, it's so easy to get on players, and the game is hard enough as it is. So to try to just, reaffirm them as much as you can, and then encourage them to affirm themselves so that they are giving themselves positive affirmations, and telling themselves that good things about themselves. So anyway, there's some topics on mental game right there. Any questions on what we just went over? I think I probably went a little bit too far on that one section, but this is a section, like I said, we could talk for an hour about. Any questions on this one before we